Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to talk about my watercolor palette. Ooh, exciting. So I'm going to share all of the colors that I like to use and break it down and talk a little bit about color theory, my favorite colors, what I like to use them for specifically. You know, do I like trees, sand, water, sky? You know, the possibilities are endless. So yeah, let's get started.
Okay, so I keep all my watercolors in this fancy Ziploc bag, and I wanted to do this cool slow motion effect of all the watercolors falling, and I was like, this is gonna look so cool. And it kind of did, but then I did, this is the better version of that. It's like, woo, perfect. So I like to use a lot of varieties in my primary colors. So I like Hansa Yellow Medium and Yellow Ochre for my yellows. And you can see it's a little bit more expensive, but honestly, they last such a long time that it's worth it. Naples Yellow is like my absolute favorite yellow. Onto the blues, we have Manganese Blue, which I like to use for the sky. Phthalo Blue is like a really intense bright blue. That's a green shade. And then Ultramarine Blue is kind of like my standard. And I have another Ultramarine Blue and Cobalt Blue. For reds, I like Alizarin Crimson and Cadmium Red. Those are kind of like a cool red and a warm red, and I'll talk about that a bit later. And then we have Payne's Gray, some neutral colors, Burnt Umber, Raw Umber, Gotta Have Your Browns, and Black. And Burnt Sienna is also a really good neutral. And then I only have 3 secondary colors, pink, orange, and green. And the rest I just mix on my own. I like to use this palette called Symphony. I don't know where you can find it. I think I got it as a gift from my friend like years ago, but I'm sure you can find something equally similar at any local art supply shop. So this is kind of my setup, and as you can see, you can just reuse all of the colors. Since watercolor is water soluble, I leave all my leftover mixed colors and can reuse everything. And it's really nice and convenient, but also I can clean it up and start from scratch. But see, I kind of just dip in my colors in all of these little spots, and then I just re-wet them and reuse them even though they're dry. So even though they're really, really small packets, you can really get a lot of use out of them over time. Okay, now I'm going to start with all of the basic colors that I showed you guys earlier. So this is Hansa Yellow Medium, and this is Yellow Ochre. I think they're almost in the same order, but it might vary slightly, so bear with me. And then this is my favorite, Naples Yellow. So pretty. I like to use it for sand a lot of the time. Here is Cadmium Red. It's a really bright red. This is Quinacridone Red. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry, I'll put the list right there. And this is Alizarin Red. So you got your 3 different kinds of reds, and then this is the pink, also Quinacridone pink. I'm saying it all wrong, but that's fine. And then this is the Manganese Blue. This is what I love to use for sky. And here you can see what I'm doing. I just add the colors to my palette. I normally like to wait for it to dry. You can see it's really saturated when you use it like this, but then you go through it a lot quicker. So I don't like to do that as much. I like to wait till it's totally dry. And that's Ultramarine Blue, my favorite. Phthalo Blue, so you can see it's like really, really bright. It's like a green shade. And this is Indigo, which is a dark blue. And here's my secondary colors. This is orange. Just cadmium orange, and this is sap green. This is my only green from the tube. The rest of my greens I mix by myself, so I like to use Hansa Yellow Medium and Ultramarine Blue in different combinations. You can add more yellows or more blues to change the variety. You can also add a little bit of brown to make it kind of more neutral, or a little more blue, or some phthalo blue to make it super bright. And here I'm mixing oranges. So I'm using Hansa Yellow Medium and Cadmium Red or Alizarin Red and Hansa Yellow Medium. Those are my favorite combinations. Normally I really like to just use the Cadmium Red straight from the tube if I want the brightest orange, because to me they tend not to be so bright if you mix them, but in this instance they look fairly bright. And even I'm trying to mix Hansa Yellow Medium with a pink and see how that kind of looks with the orange, which is kind of cool. I'm basically kind of just doing a montage for the rest of this video of mixing colors, which I had a lot of fun making, and it's just kind of super aesthetic and pretty, and I can still talk through this, but if you wanted to just mute me and find me annoying, you could do that and just put on some nice music as you just watch me paint some pretty colors. Which, by the way, I forgot, this is burnt umber. I forgot to do my browns earlier, so my bad. And this is Payne's gray, which is kind of a little bit more of a bluish gray, and it's really dark, so I kind of like to use it in place of a black. I haven't been using my black all that much. I've kind of substituted with Payne's gray. And here I'm doing the different purples, and you can see that I'm making some of them more blue and some of them a bit more red, and there's like a lot of varieties you can do with that. And you know me, I love my purples. Here's kind of more neutral yellows and oranges, some more varieties, more yellowy greens, and more kind of neutral greens. I really like to add brown to my greens because it kind of makes it look more natural. And this, I'm getting a bit darker with my greens, so like I'm adding a lot more blue. Here's the pink color again. I think the most amount of variety I get with my colors is with the greens, because I have the most amount of yellows and the most amount of blues. I really like to do tons of variations on my greens, and I really like to make them super light and yellow and super dark, like this with this indigo color here. I like to mix indigo and sap green a lot to create this really dark, rich, almost dark woods color. And then I also like to add brown a lot too. It just makes it more neutral and just so much more earthier. I hate the greens like straight out of the tubes that you normally get. They're so saturated and like almost an unnatural looking color. So if you're looking kind of to paint more landscapes or scenery that exists in like the natural world, then I don't recommend buying a ton of green straight from the tube, because they just like are such an electric green, and it just doesn't look like anything in nature, I would say. But here I'm going back to the blues and the purples. I never mix the same purple twice, so in all of my videos where I do lots of shadows, I'm always remixing my color purples. I like to do more of like a blue purple for my shadows, but it just kind of depends. And that's part of the fun, is that you can't mix watercolors in big quantities. So if you do mixing, you just kind of have to remember the colors that you like to use over and over, or it just creates a lot more variety. So now that I've shown you all my colors that I use, I'm gonna put it into practice. And here's a painting that I've been working on. I like to mix my cadmium red sometimes with a raw umber, burnt umber, to get kind of a more dark brick kind of color here. So here I'm doing the bricks, and then here I'm doing the shadows on the trees, and I like to do lots of layering, which I can go over in another video. But this is the purple color I was using earlier, and just layering it on top, and it looks really nice. And I'll wrap up the video by just showing some of my favorite colors. And let me know if you have any more questions. Leave me a comment. And please like this video and subscribe if this was helpful to you. I'm hopefully going to make a lot more of these. So thanks for watching.